Good evening, good morning. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Actually, good evening here in the UK. It's very late in the evening. Thank you so much, everybody who have been helping, who have been subscribing to my channel. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to this YouTube channel. We'll be talking about how people live in the United Kingdom, how money operates, how the government help people who need help. I have spoken about universal credit, which is a type of money given in the United Kingdom by the UK government. And if you live in the UK, then you know what universal credit is. If you live in another country, then you need to know something about money in your country. The best place I would suggest to check what is happening in your country with money and also livelihood is to visit the government website. So in the United Kingdom, watching this video, watch it with the rest of the video because they are connected. Leave a comment and let me know your feedback, what you think, and the work in progress for us. And we're so excited. So we are going to look at employment support allowance and go on to gov.uk and type something called employment and support allowance, ESA. And if you don't find it, come back and leave a comment below because I have actually recorded a few videos explaining what employment and support allowance is. And there's also something called limited capability for work related activity, which is actually a type of benefit for sick people. It's a sickness benefit, and you claim applying a form known as UC50, Universal Credit Form number 50. And you do that, and you might still need to fill this out even if you are getting universal if you have LCWRA, which is limited capability for work related activity, which means you are very sick and you are actually intending to get some help, and you get some extra money. Often you get it straight away if you get it with if you're already getting employment support allowance. And these are actually some of the details. And let us also look at something called new style ESA, employment support allowance. If you are in the ESA support group, you will automatically have a limited capability for work-related activity. And if you are in the ESA work-related activity group, you automatically have a limited capability for work-related activity. These are sickness benefits. So some of the details, if you already have a LCW or LCWRA for new style ESA, you don't need to fill in another form or have a medical assessment for universal credit. I have already mentioned this in the other videos. Watch the other videos alongside this if you're interested. If you're not interested, you can still watch it because we'll talk about money given by the United Kingdom. But this, I say, I'm actually looking at this information because I'm interested in the policy and also in the politics of benefit. I've actually said it as well, that people need to really get the help they need. If you find it hard, then you know it is actually what is happening, and you do your best and watch the rest of the video. And as we go along this, I've explained the importance of this information. So this is a type of money. This is actually an outlook of what you find in the information portals when you are actually looking at information. But if you watch my video, and also probably I will mention some points again here, but today I'm going to focus a little more on the specifics. But up to at some point I'm going to look at the broader perspectives. So the Department of Work and Pension might still say you need another assessment for your universal credit claim, but you don't. If the Department of Work and Pension say you need another assessment, you can challenge your universal credit decision. We have talked about challenging the the decision of the Department of Work and Pension, which is a government department responsible for benefit and other things. If you watch this video alone, then you are happy, and let me know below. If you're not happy, then probably you'll watch the rest of the series because they are numbered differently. They are the same topic but numbered differently. If you have the time, you can actually look at them. And it's an exercise I'm actually operating, and if you think we can do it slightly differently, then that is okay. If you got old style ESA, old style ESA is now, and you cannot make a new claim on old style employment and support allowance because this is legacy benefit. And also, if you watch the rest of the video, you will find out what legacy benefit is. All this information you can find on gov.uk, and if you feel reading is you are seeing more than actually looking for my big video, because on my video I actually discuss many things, and if you find it interesting, mainly I try to interpret government policy in terms of looking at the specific information. So you can get limited capability for work or limited capability for work related activities straight away if you are getting employment support allowance in the employment support allowance support group or the work related activity group. If you have also claimed universal credit before you stop being eligible for employment support allowance, or if you will still need you will still have limited capability for work relative activity or limited capability for work on universal credit, as long as you there is no break between your old style employment support allowance claim and the universal credit claim. This is some of the information you find law and policy on benefit. These are actually money, but this is how the system works. Being actually pointing to how complicated these things are. To get benefit in the United Kingdom, you need advisors from the government and also from other independent bodies. But I have also said there's a major problem with funding. The organizations giving support, advice, and all that are hamstrung because of lack of funding. I've actually mentioned this, or we mentioned it going forward. The Department of Work and Pension will send you a UC50 form to check you are still eligible for limited capability for work-related activity and or for limited capability for work. If you had a previous universal credit assessment for limited capability for work or limited capability for work-related activity, and you also, if you got old style employment support allowance, the rule on employment support allowance assessments carrying over to universal credit comes from Regulation 19 of the Universal Credit Transitional Provisions. I'll talk about transitioning, Regulation 2014. It's confirmed in the Department of Work and Pension advice for decision makers on gov.uk. So you can visit gov.uk and look for this information. Use chapter M6, section M6, 192. These are some of the details you may care to look. If you are the new style universal credit employment support allowance or universal credit assessment that said you didn't have a limited capability for work or limited capability for work related activity, the Department of Work and Pension will reassess this for universal credit claim. Your claim will need to either appeal. You would either need to appeal either your appeal the decision, employment support allowance decision, send evidence that your condition has changed. When your condition has changed, either you are better or worse, as in terms of sickness. Your sickness since before the 3rd of April 2017, and you might be able to get an extra limited capability for work relative limited for work element in your universal credit payment if you've been sick since before the 3rd of April 2017. These are actually sickness benefit, and so you will get an extra £146.31 if you have the limited capability for work as part of your employment support allowance claim when you move to universal credit. So these are some of the details. Also talking about migration, which is actually moving from one place to another, from legacy benefit to new benefit. You can check how to work out what amounts you are getting. And if you get state pension and also getting other benefits, you will get limited capability for work-related activity automatically if you are over state pension age and getting either attendance allowance or personal independence payment (PIP) with enhanced daily living component. And my understanding of in the PIP is that you actually don't get it if you are pension age. You get attendance allowance. That is where I understand the disability living allowance are for children. But these are also in terms of legacy. You probably will get it, but in terms of modern benefit, you might not actually make a new claim. This DLL for the elderly actually a legacy benefit which might still be relevant with the eyes rate component. If you are getting it, you will need to wait 3 months to get extra money, and you will get limited capability for work automatically if you are getting either a PIP but not the enhanced daily living component, the disability living allowance, but not the highest rate care component. The DWP should also send you a UC 50 form to check if you should be getting a limited capability for work related activity instead of limited capability for work. So if you don't get these things, you can contact Universal Credit Helpline or request it through an online account. Normally, if you actually go online and check, and particularly if you are actually having time to look at the information I've given in the rest of the video, some of these things are already explained. That's why it may not make sense to you when you're watching this, but going through this so that you can have an understanding, because my concern is the complication involving benefits, the complexity involving the benefit system. I've actually mentioned this, that if you have an MP, you can actually, I don't know if the MPs understand this problem, because they're the one who sets the law and they are the one who actually create these policies. And if you don't have the money for professionals to actually advise on benefit, or the Department of Work and Pension, which is a government department, to actually advise on benefit, then it's more or less you're not going to get any benefit. Benefit is actually money. For those who do not live in the United Kingdom, if you live in the United Kingdom, some people have never been on benefit, so they might not know. And the relevance of, in terms of my program is that what you find in with benefit actually is what you find on the other welfare system. Benefit is a part of a welfare system, which is something people should actually pay attention to. The welfare system is actually a system to help people who are actually needing help, people who are not multimillionaires, people who live in poverty, or even some people who actually don't live in poverty. They are out of poverty, but their life is precarious because they are actually working for a living. They may be earning enough, more than enough from employer as employees, but the uncertainty of employment and also loss of employment is staring the British people in the face. And also not just in Britain, what happened here is also happening everywhere else. So thank you so much for your attending and for your support so far, and being part of this process. We are actually work in progress. We are improving the way we perform. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't subscribed. Subscription is free. A lot of people think that if you're subscribing, you pay money. You actually don't pay money. This is YouTube. And if there is a YouTube channel system where you pay money, then let me know, because I don't know about it. And if you are actually paying for membership, my channel is too small to pay membership. You cannot pay membership to me. Membership is paid for, but my channel is not really relevant for membership. And if I grow, if I become a bigger program, probably you will be. If you can choose, even subscribing, even anything you do here, you have to choose. I mean, it's your choice. If you want to watch, you can watch. If you don't want to watch, fine. If you don't want to, whatever you want to do, I mean, nobody is like, I mean, even if it was charged for, I'm just informing you that the subscription is it's free of charge, and like liking, also if it's free of charge, it's your time, is your attitude, it's your beliefs. If you don't want to subscribe, that's okay. Some people actually subscribe, other people do not subscribe. And so if you actually in the hospital or in quarantine, such as quarantine with you are kept actually in isolation, such as we found with the COVID-19, and if you go into hospital or drug, if you go into if you go into hospital or drug or alcohol rehabilitation center for at least 24 hours, update your universal credit online account as soon as you can. You will have a limited capability for work while you are in the hospital. You will also have limited capability for work after you come out of the hospital. If the Department of Work and Pension agree, you need time to recover. We talk about work. People who are sick, the government say people who are sick should work. So if you come out of the hospital, you may have a few time to recover, and as soon as you recover, you have to go back to work, even if you are still sick. And this is in terms of benefit. It may sound actually unrelated, but this I'm talk about money. The conditions for getting money in the United Kingdom. All this is actually conditions you have to meet in order to get money from the government, because you are suffering poverty. We have discussed about poverty. We'll be visiting to discuss again over and over. But if you need to learn more from what you are hearing from here, go to gov.uk or other organization who actually you will find probably the link there, citizen advice, public website, shelter, or all these other organizations. Look for them online. You cannot miss this information. Everybody who is in the world, don't get me wrong, even if you're not in the UK, as long as you have access to the internet, you can actually access this information. You will also have limited capability for work if you are being given official notice not to work because you have an infectious disease. And so if you are not working, then you get limited capability for work. But the problem with limited capability for work, if it is not really connected to employment support allowance, whether legacy or new style, you might not be able to actually get limited capability for work. These are money for sick people. The Department of Work and Pension should also send you UC50, which is a form you feel you can check if you should be getting limited capability for work related activity. Limited capability for work related activity means you are very sick. You're sicker than limited capability for work, and so you get more money. And I already questioned the validity of whether or not sick people actually need less or more money than that for who are not sick. But the logic comes from the head of the government. You can contact your member of parliament and ask why sick people should be paid more money, and people who are not sick should be paid less money. And sick people actually in need of money or in need of good medical system and treatment. And that's the question you can take to a member of parliament. If you don't understand anything I'm saying, if you think it is valuable but you don't seem to understand what I'm saying, then leave a comment below. I will take time to actually explain it in another video in a clear way, in a more specified way. I'm just going through this because I've already spoken about this elsewhere, and I'm only trying to actually streamline it so that it's to move forward in the discourse. So the Department of Work and Pension should also send you a UC50 form or to check if you should be getting LCWRA. If you don't actually call, if they don't send you a form, then you can contact them by phone on Universal Credit Helpline. The number is actually on your government website, and the times and the other information are actually there. Visit government UK if you want to learn, because knowledge is power. And you never know if you're still working, even if you're getting 100,000, 200,000, 400,000 pounds. The next day you may wake up to unemployment, and you may not have actually any money in your bank account. You might be in debt, and you will need debt advice. You will need financial advice. You will need money advice. You will need better advice and benefit, because you never know. You might even be facing homelessness. Part of the reason people actually go to get money, because they want to pay their rent, they want to pay their council tax. These are priority debts, or bills. If you don't pay them, you can be evicted onto the street. If you're on a government home housing, you might not actually get help housing again. You will permanently be homeless. And if you have a record of in debt of actually not paying your rent arrears and rent, you might have to have a dirty record, and you might not even be. You will struggle to get housing even in the private sector. But with the private sector, with need to make a deposit, you may be forced to actually go and actually claim universal credit, or similar monies. And although if you live in a house which is actually expensive in terms of renting, there is subsequent benefit cap, which I've actually discussed on the other video. You can find this information on the gov.uk. The benefit cap is a bad thing, in my opinion. If you think it is a good thing, leave a comment below. But I think it's a bad thing. I think it put people at risk. And also, if you are on a mortgage, if you're borrowing money, if you're borrowing to buy, and if you lose this job, you're going to lose your home, because the Department of Work and Pension, the government doesn't pay mortgages. They should, because these people are borrowing money on credit because the government has failed to provide proper housing to people who actually go on the onto the market to buy housing. And also, if you buy from the council, from the local authority, it's the same, because you actually you're treated as if you're actually a private owner of a property, so you're more or less on your own. But I still feel if people are actually on low income, especially if they're on the minimum wage, especially if they're on debt, the government should support people more to pay their mortgages, and go to your MP if this concerns you. If you are struggling with mortgage, go and ask your MP what you are supposed to do. I pray that your MP will have an answer. If not, then the MP can go and ask the government what you should do if you are on a mortgage, and the benefit system doesn't pay actually for your mortgage. They only pay for interest, but actually the money given in benefit actually a form of grant, because you don't pay it back as a loan. And but for when they offer actually to pay your mortgage interest, which is what it's a temporary measure. It's not permanent, and you have to pay the money back because you have to borrow from the government, and I think that is very wrong, because these people are actually buying on credit, and it's their home. Why should they lose their home? And if the government, if they lose, you lose your home, you can't get actually the house by the government. You have to rent privately. So it's like a fraud. The government encourages people to buy their property, and also it doesn't guarantee employment. It doesn't guarantee benefit to support them in the event of crisis. So why do you ask the British people to buy properties? You should actually advise them not to buy property at all for living. That will actually require the government to build property, to put people into it, and stop privatizing the housing system. Build houses and give it to people who do not have houses, and get if you have to go onto your knee to the super rich, then actually do so if you're government, because they are the ones who have all the wealth. Let them give some of the money for free to actually help people who do not have access to housing at all. I mean, a lot of people are actually facing homelessness, and the public housing is shutting down, and private housing also shutting down with the small and medium businesses. So in about 100 years coming, going from now, we may be facing a situation where we are actually having to I don't know what we're going to do. We will only have to beg on our knees, super rich, if we can only kind of like squat in their car garages. I don't know if they're going to accept that, because these people are actually very security sensitive, and you can't blame them. I mean, you live in Britain, you live in a modern world, you don't bring strangers into your home. What kind of life is that? We are actually prisoners in our own home, because we are actually strangers to one another. So going back to universal credit, so if you're having cancer treatment or recovering from cancer actually, you are likely to have a limited ability for work related activity, which is means you're severely sick. If you are being treated with chemotherapy or radiotherapy, likely to start treatment in the next 6 months, recovering from treatment. And these are some of the criteria. And also, if the Department of Work will usually still send you C50 form to complete, you will usually need to wait 3 months to get the extra money. If you are really very, very sick, you might die before getting benefit anyway. So some people don't bother. I mean, if you're so sick, you won't be able to actually claim universal credit, because the UC50 form is impossible to claim if you are a sick person. And it's almost impossible for healthy people to claim it, to use the form. And I've used the form several times to help my clients, and and it's so tedious. Sometimes if you get people who cannot even, you get tired, you have to take a break and come back maybe the next day, or some other day to continue with the form, because you are speaking to people, actually asking them questions. They get so tired, because the form is so long and it's so complicated. If if you ask them question, you have to really explain in plain language so that they understand what you're talking about. These things are so complicated. So if you have a terminal illness and might not live more than a year, you will always have a limited capability for work-related activity. You can stop doing work-related requirements and get the extra money straight away. If you are so lucky, according to the government, if you are lucky enough to die within 6 months or even a year, you will have the pleasure of having slightly more money. Limited capability for work-related activities, about £400 per month. That is your value for your life, because you are going to die. How nice! You get it straight away. You don't have to wait for 3 months or 6 months. That is the mindset of the United Kingdom government. God bless them. So you will always have these monies. You don't need to complete a UC50 form. Thank God for terminally ill people, because you don't have to suffer like people who are not about to die. You will need to send the DWP a medical report from the doctor or another health professional. The report will be on form SRI. You don't need to pay for it. You ask your doctor or another healthcare professional to email the report to the DWP to save time. DWP guidelines for claimants with cancer. If you have cancer, God forbid, and my prayers for people with cancer. Is a horror story in the first instance, but if you have it, you will probably get some money, and you need to get the DWP advice. Check on the gov.uk for advice. Look at the details there. And if you have a serious illness, and also there are conditions for illnessness if they are serious, and there are some treatments and conditions where you will get limited capability for work or limited capability for work-related activity automatically. If you have limited capability for work-related activity, you might need to wait 3 months to get the extra money. If you're not, the sicker you are, the more immediately you might get the money. The less sick you are, the longer you might have to wait, often 3 months. That's not how sick you are. You may be so sick But some people often die before they get their benefit. God forbid. And you will need still to put a note on your online account mentioning your diagnosis and explaining how your illness or treatment stops you working or preparing for work. Imagine you are very sick, you are extremely sick, and you still have to really go through these horror stories. And I will actually already criticize the system, the government, if it has some brain still left, then I believe they have, then they should think again how they're treating the British people. And you will have limited capability for work if you are having a weekly dialysis and plasma exchange, intravenous feeding, limited capability for work means you are not that sick in terms of benefit requirements. So your limited capability for work will continue if you have finished one of these treatments and the Department of Work and Pension agree you need time to recover. The Department of Work and Pension should also send you UC 50 form to check if you should be getting limited capability for work related activity. Limited capability for work related activity means you are very sick. You get about £400. Limited capability for work may mean you don't get any money at all because you're not sick enough to get any money, any sickness payment. So whenever the government actually say they're actually helping the British people, yes, they are, but you have to know the details because some help do not actually reach people who should get it because of the complexity as to how this help are actually accessed. If you're terminal, if you have a terminal illness, you might not live more than a year. The conditions also there, and if you have that, if you are going to die, terminal illness means you're going to die, and you might not live more than 6 years. You will always have a limited capability for work-related activity, which is the benefit, which indicates in terms of benefit that you are extremely sick, and you can stop doing work-related requirements and get the extra money straight away. You don't wait for 3 months or anything like that. And if you need to complete a UC, you don't actually need to complete a UC 50 form. Thank God for that, because you're about to die anyway, which is, you are treated nicely, more nicely than people who are not about to die, which is actually the kind of logic only were making sense to the Department of Work and Pension and the government, which actually sends them. You will need to send the Department of Work and Pension a medical report from your doctor or another health professional. I mean, if I were the government, at least I would actually, if somebody is about to die, it means they're very sick, at least we would have the courtesy to actually get the information ourselves, other than sending sick people. How are they going to go there if they're going to die within 6 months or less than a year? And all these are actually exercises which are futile, given the government is actually not intending to give help to anyone, because how can it give help? Because it doesn't have money, and all this complexity is actually designed to kick people out of benefit. That's the whole objective. They just pretend, but also they cannot tell the truth, because the truth actually hurts, and they are trying to protect the British people from the truth. But somehow along the line, the truth needs to be told that the government has run out of money and it has sold off the country to the private companies, super rich. They are the ones who now have access to wealth. The British people are on their own. So if you have an MP, go and speak to them. And 9 out of 10 times, I don't think you will be able even to speak to your MP if you try to phone them. Democracy means governed of the people, by the people, and for the people. And this state of affair with public service, and also how we send our government to rule the country on our behalf, is really amazingly different from the theory of democracy. But leave a comment below and let me know what you think. That is what I think, really. I think that we can do more as a species, as human beings. We can have a little bit of compassion, really, and And now, if you go to politicians, if you watch the television or listen to the radio or any of the sources of information, the politicians are now openly talking about how compassionate they are. I mean to say, I mean, if you are intelligent enough, I mean, nobody have to tell you they are compassionate. You see them by their action. You judge them by their action in the hospitals, in the DW Department of Work and Pension, when you're trying to get money to help you at housing. You see if the government is compassionate and you are trying to get a home and you are homeless, you are sick, you're about to die, and actually nobody don't. I mean, nobody seems to care at all because there is no money left to support the, especially the policy. I mean, you speak to the government, they say, "Oh, we are building, we are building hospital, we are building schools," but these are infrastructure which are ghost town. I mean, if you see them, they look like five-star hotels, but they are empty because there is nobody there. The place is actually being supervised by security guards. They are just there to actually show to the British people that the government is doing something. You can see construction going on, but those are actually empty property. Maybe one day they will be sold off to the super rich to turn into five-star hotels. That's what is happening. That's what the government is doing, building infrastructure in the capital, using public money to tell the British people they are building more homes. These homes are actually empty. They are not actually occupied. They are sold off probably eventually to private companies who actually hold it. They don't even, because the people in more and more British people are having less and less money anyway. Because all those properties are going to be just like sitting there. Maybe some wealthy foreigners will come and occupy them. Who knows? But the British people are in serious trouble in terms of housing. What we read on the paper is not what's happening on the ground. You don't need to complete universal credit form. You will need to send this information, like I said, if you are actually very, very sick. And so you can ask your general practitioner, a family doctor, and consultant email report to the Department of Work and Pensions to save time. Save time and effort. I am going to talk to the doctor because the doctor cannot be spoken to. Medical consultant can be spoken to. They are not there. You speak to a receptionist. They don't give you actually appointments. So to link even benefit with sickness is actually a monstrous idea, monstrously wrong. Benefit should be benefit, sickness should be sickness. I mean, you don't get money because you're sick. I mean, sickness, I mean, money is not going to stop you from dying. Money is not going to actually be like medicine because people don't want to die. People want working hospital and stop wasting money. Giving money to sick people. If you're going to give money enough to get the British people out of poverty. Just one benefit. Stop complicating things. So when the Department of Work and Pension will send you a form called UC50, and you'll use the form to decide. They will use the form to decide if you get limited capability or limited capability for work-related activity. Check how you get ready to complete the UC50 form. The UC50 form is actually having a deadline, I think. I think 1 month. If you don't claim it, then you will lose. Probably you have to claim again. And if you think you should have got an LCW or LCWRL automatically without the form or assessment, you can ask the Department of Work and Pension to challenge the decision. They call mandatory consideration, which is actually a very complicated system. People do not know how to even right. They need to go to professionals to do that. These professionals are actually run out of resources. Government is not helping them at all. They are on their own. They are struggling. They are shutting down as I speak, and the end is nigh. And the British people are actually in trouble, and the people of the world with Britain also are in trouble. So you need evidence, and also to fill UC50 form, you need evidence, and also you need to prepare answers. And it's like going on very complicated exams. And if you don't do that, you are not even going to go anywhere near benefit. So in other words, the reason I'm actually trying to go through this. There is sickness benefit that nobody's going to get it in practice because the system is so complicated. Especially, imagine you are a sick person. The only thing you think about is money, and you don't have access to food. The reason the government is behaving like this because he doesn't have money, and that's why he's not paying sufficient enough benefit. It's not paying enough minimum wage, and people are sinking deeper and deeper into poverty. There is no sense of care, no sense of duty, no sense of. It's like living in a jungle where the fittest actually are expected to survive. And going forward, there is no answer. Everybody for himself and God for us all. And the government is shutting down or let us actually look after ourselves the best way we can. And if you want to be irresponsible, that is your problem because we are in a jungle known as, I don't know what it is called, but it's probably called cities and towns. Part of it is called the marketplace, where you sell and buy if you have money. If you don't, you actually go to sleep. And sometimes you go to sleep because you haven't eaten or drunk water for a few days, and you're homeless actually. Because a lot of people are going to lose their homes because without benefit, without a proper pay from work, without proper employment statuses, rights, a lot of people are going to lose their job. Even if you are working, you are still going to be homeless because you can't afford you can't afford rent. The called affordable home is actually an irrelevance because if you can't get affordable homes, you're being sent to private companies if you are actually entitled to, if you are eligible, you meet all the criteria for homelessness. You are also priority need. The government, the local authority are still sending people to private companies where, the idea of public housing is affordable. Why should the government send people to private property and also refuse to pay? If you actually enter into private property, they will refuse to pay rent because there is something called benefit cap. If you are unlucky or lucky enough to have children who are already adults, you are going to be charged if you are in benefit. And your children are also in benefit. There's something called non-dependent deduction. Or if you have more room, you're going to be charged. If you're on benefit, you're going to be charged bedroom tax. All these are policies created by monsters we call leaders in the United Kingdom, and this behavior of the state is across the globe. So, plan how much time you will need, get evidence to send the form, keep diary, start filling in the form. These are some of the things you are actually advised to give. If you go to gov.uk and all the other organizations, websites, children advice, etc., public website. You get universal credit, you can't work because you are disabled or have a health condition. You will usually get an extra form to fill in. Always filling in the form. The form is called the Work Capability Questionnaire or UC50 form. Work capability assessment is actually evil because nobody passes it, especially when you are sick. All the sick people are actually taken to do the assessment. So the Department of Work and Pension actually will use the form to decide whether you have to work or look for work, you don't have to work, or have to do things to prepare for work, called limited capability for work, or you don't have to work or prepare for work, called limited capability for work related activity, LCWRA. More or less repeating the point, which is actually important so that people understand. I will watch this video, you watch the other videos as well. Or go to gov.uk if you're living in the UK. If you're not living in the UK, if you're interested, you can go to your government website to see what help they might or might not be giving in your country. If you are sure whether you will need to fill in the form, find out who needs to fill in the form, capability form. People are confused, and confusion is the mother of all troubles, but you need to survive. So it is what it is. A man gotta do, a man or a woman gotta do what a man or a woman gotta do. So if you need to fill in the form, there are things you can do beforehand to help you give the detailed feed information they need. You can plan how much time you will need, get evidence to send with the form, keep a diary to help you remember what to include, plan how much time you will need. So you see, it's like I don't know what it is. It is resembling. It's like planning a trip to the moon or to Mars, and you are a stinkingly rich multimillionaire. You have 20 or 40 secretaries or personal assistants. But if you're a poor person, you will not even claim any benefit at all because of the complexity of the information. This information is also actually online, and it is now getting harder and harder to have a face-to-face with the workers at the Department of Work on person, workers anywhere else. And sooner or later, even the supermarkets are going to close down. You will have to order what you need online. All the shops will eventually close because things are changing. Artificial intelligence is now being introduced into government departments. So sooner or later, you are not going to see a human face. And money may also not be there as in cash. You will just use digital currency. Uh, yeah, which is actually exciting. See you in town. So you can plan out how much time you will need to add. You will need to actually you will need. The form can take a long time to fill in. I've already mentioned this elsewhere. Long time to take to take breaks if you can. You have to take a break while actually making application form if you're a sick person. That's how complicated it is, and only the government understand why it is so complicated to fill out a form to get £300 per month. It's important to give the Department of Work and Pension enough information so they can make the right decision. You have to send the form back within 14 weeks, 4 weeks after you get it. Otherwise, the Department of Work and Pension might decide you can work. If they decide you can work, I mean, you have already given them information. The doctor have already said, if they decide you can work, then it means you're not going to get benefit. And if it's more than 4 weeks since you got the form, you should still fill it in and send it as soon as as you can. The Department of Work might accept it if there is a good reason you couldn't send it earlier. So the name of the game is actually send it as early as you can. Sending it late is a trap, and you might not actually get it because if you're already sick, you might not literally. We are just talking about this, but if you are actually really sick, you will not be able to fill out this form. Let alone fill it out within 4 weeks. You might even die before you finish filling out the form, and that is how irrelevant it is. So you need to send evidence to send get evidence to send with the form, and you can send the medical evidence of your condition or disability along with the form. I don't know if the government actually gets sick, because you see everything they're asking sick people to do is like. I don't know if they have been poor also, the government. I think they are multimillionaires who have personal assistants, personal secretaries. Do you think poor people also live like that? These politicians are totally out of touch. They don't understand anything about poverty. Poor people may not even have money to buy a pen. They may not have computers. They may not have even mobile phone because they don't have money. You see, they may not have electricity in their home. They may not even have gas. They may not have drinking water. Their home may be in disrepair, and they are actually waiting for, or maybe their roof are leaking. They are waiting for repairs from the housing people, and they are not coming because these are poor people. Nobody now cares about them. You can do whatever you like. The government is not really caring about them. So, all these private companies providing housing are now, they can do whatever they like. So, what do? You can send medical evidence of your condition or disability along with the form. Medical evidence can give the Department of Work and Pension a better idea of how your condition affects your ability to work. So that is a good idea. You can do that. You send evidence. If it supports what you're saying, the form, because you're a thief, you're a robber, and probably a murderer also from prison. So the government doesn't believe you. They treat you like a criminal. You have to prove everything. When you say you're sick, okay, prove it. And okay, go and get information from the doctor. The doctor is not there because you phone them. If you go there, you can book an appointment. If you want to see the doctor, book an appointment. Go and ring them. Ring the hospital. You ring the hospital, wait for 2 hours, and the doctor is not there. And sometimes, if you ask them to write a letter, the doctor is going to ask for money, and you don't even have £1. The doctor asking for £300, £400 to write a letter to the Department of Work and Pension to provide evidence. So it's like being chased by some demons, invisible demons, and there's no peace for the wicked. So British people are often treated like wicked people who are actually living in hell. So you should send evidence. If it support your condition, you can get a printout of the medication you are on. A printout, you may not actually have cartridges on your computer if you have computer, because cartridges are unaffordable. They're extremely expensive. People on benefit cannot afford that, especially if they're sick. You mean sickness are actually, maybe they're already in debt to the tune of maybe thousands or hundreds of thousands of pounds, because they must have borrowed from family, friends, and probably family and friends are actually trying to strangle them to death because of being indebtedness. So they may not actually. I mean, if you go to an internet cafe, you may not even be able to afford 50 pence because you are actually in debt. So, so a printout may sound very sexy to the government, but it's not to somebody who is sick and poor. So you get letters from the specialists, and who is going to write a letter because they are so busy. They don't. The ones who provide free service have no resources. They are shutting down. You wait for 6. You can wait for 6 weeks for an advisor to see you. And this time, the Department of Work and Pension will have closed down your claim because you cannot take evidence. Because you are not able, you are incapacitated by poverty. So X-ray results and scans, hospital discharge sheets, an occupational therapist care plan, or if you have problems with your mental health, think about any documents or letters you have from someone like your community psychiatric nurse. I mean, if you are actually mentally ill, are you going to think about one thing or another? You almost have to borrow somebody else's brain to think with. And the government has no clue how this thing works. They are actually trying to play doctors. The doctor tells them this person is sick, they don't listen. They still go to their health assessor. And this health assessor actually fail sick people. This is what is happening really on the ground. And it's the truth, it's the facts. It's the Department of Work and Pension do not listen to doctors at all. And doctors are actually no longer there even for any poor person. I mean, if you don't have money, you're not going to see a doctor. You might not have a diagnosis if you have unexplained symptoms like stomach problems, tiredness, or dizziness. If you don't have any evidence to send, ask your doctor if they can give you a letter explaining your condition and how it affects your ability to work. Money, they don't send it for free. You have to pay probably, I don't know, maybe I don't know how much, 30 pounds or whatever. 30 pounds is like 30,000 pounds to a poor person in the United Kingdom. So you know, asking them, the doctor, to write letters. They have the people you're actually sending them are supposed to pay. I mean, why, if the government is really keen to get evidence, why don't they contact the doctors themselves? You know, they are making sick people, they are making people who are poor to work for no pay. I mean, you're sending them to do things you should be sending. These are customers. And if you go to the Department of Work and Pension, you are referred to as a customer. What kind of customer is so abused and they are treated worse than prisoners? And you also don't worry that the form says not to ask or pay for new information. You can send new evidence if it helps. You show the Department of Work and Pension that your situation is. Now, okay, if you are asked to pay for evidence, as some doctors actually, hang on a second, some doctors, like I said, actually, not some of them, I think all of them, because they are private doctors, you know, they don't do charities. They're there to make profit. So, I mean, what makes these things, some doctors and others? All the family doctors are private companies. The GPs, the general practitioners in the UK, are private companies, so they charge for the service. And so some doctors might charge you for a letter or a new report. If you can't afford to pay, it's worth asking for copies of recent medical notes or letters from any specialist they have referred you to. What if they haven't referred you to anybody? They usually have to give you copies for free. I mean, if you haven't really got all of those, so what is going to happen? I mean, what, you are extremely sick. You have to do all these things. Maybe you can collapse on the way even, and have to call an ambulance in the process of trying to claim benefit from the government. Because it's so complex. Like, even if you are not sick, the condition for getting benefit is actually will make you sick. You'll probably actually collapse on the way even if you are healthy. What about if you are sick? So if you're not sure what evidence you need, you can get advice. If you are not sure whether you need to send a piece of evidence, not sure whether to ask for more evidence to support your case, having trouble getting the evidence you need, talk to an advisor if you are not sure what you need to say. But you see, the problem with advisors, they are not there. They are actually ghosts. They are ghosts in the sense that you ring them, you don't get them. As simple as that. Because I'm an advisor, so I know. The reason you don't get us because we are actually not there. You see, we are very few and we are overstretched. We are always at work and sometimes we have to give quality advice. We don't just give advice. We work to the highest possible standard. And therefore, we cannot cut corners because the government is not paying to support us. So all these are actually information which are actually nonsensical in practice. So you should send evidence from a medical professional if it explains how your condition or disability affect your day-to-day life or ability to work. For example, if you should send a letter from the consultant summarizing their condition. Yes, but they are not there. These people are actually in hiding. They are hibernating. They only respond to money, and the government is not giving money to people who are sick or to people who are trying to treat people who are poor and who are actually sick. Asking for more evidence might help you claim if you only have evidence about part of your condition. For example, if the evidence you have doesn't show some of the ways your condition affects you. That is actually the doctrine, the principle. They don't care whether your head is chopped up. If you can still walk, you don't get benefit because you're able to walk. It doesn't matter if your brain is gouged out. If you can still walk. So what they are saying, you may be sick, but until it is affecting you in certain ways, that is what they are looking for. They are looking at the invisible. instead of the visible. The doctor says somebody is sick. The DWP do not listen. They will actually only listen to their heads. They are going to try to get evidence to decide that the sickness actually is affecting you. Now, what kind of sickness doesn't affect somebody? Which world do politicians come from? I don't know about rich people because most of these politicians are actually multimillionaires and maybe, I don't know, maybe friends of multimillionaires probably. If they are sick, then their sick doesn't affect, so that sickness doesn't affect them. Because, see, the doctrine surrounding the benefit system is that if you are sick, some sickness doesn't affect you. Or if it affects you, it doesn't affect you badly enough. They link all this to benefit. And I already said at the outset, why should you pay somebody for being sick? I'm going to say, there is nothing exciting about sickness. Why do you link this to money? Human life, is it now valued in terms of money? So asking for more evidence, for example, you can ask for evidence on your whatever. Explain, the medical profession what you want them to confirm about whatever, your condition, symptoms, and you should use the relevant descriptors to work out what to ask for. All these are actually rules on sickness benefit. And you can also explain what that this evidence will be important whether the Department of Work and Pension decide you have a limited capability for work, or otherwise the medical profession don't know evidence can affect the decision, the DWP decision. So all these are actually complexities. You have to keep a diary, and you have to be a personal secretary. You have to be an expert actually, or an administrator, expert administrator to claim benefit. You have to be a really high profile, and it's a full-time occupation actually looking. You just give up before you even start. If you actually have to claim benefit, you have to work so hard for about 3 to 4, sometimes for 6 months. Because if your claim expires, you have to claim again. And this is actually the glory which is Britain, the joy which is the British people by avoiding being sarcastic. So if you want to make the right decision, if the DWP is to make the right decision, they need to know about all the difficulties you have because your health condition or disability. Say, they're going to know about it. The doctor said you are sick, they don't listen. Now, how are you going to prove? Are you a magician? You need to be a magician really to work some magic wand. And the service at the Department of Work and Pensions is overstretched. The advisors are so miserable. The work coaches are so miserable. The staff at the DWP are so miserable because they are so overly stretched. They cannot cope with the demand of service, and they are so incapacitated. The Department of Work and Pensions want to know about what you can do physically or mentally. The doctor said you are sick. Now, the Department of Work and Pensions is saying, now they want to know how sick you are, how your physical condition, medical. And if you say to them, I'm really sick, they say, I'll go to the hospital and I get evidence. Okay, I have evidence. They're going to get some more. We are not clinicians. Okay, if we are not clinicians, why do you want to know the details about my sickness? What is it for? You don't even know how to read what the doctors writes. I go to the hospital all the time. I can't read the doctor's handwriting. When they write on the sick note or in the fifth note, nobody knows, but it's just a stamp. I can see a stamp from the doctor. When I go to the hospital, say, you put a stamp here. Okay. so that I can take it to my insurance or to wherever. So you could keep a diary before you send the form. I mean, how many people in the world keep diaries? You don't even know what a diary is if you're a sick person. I mean, these are ordinary citizens. They don't even. Are there some high-level personal secretaries for working for the prime minister of highly trained civil servants? This is the kind of thing. I mean, how are you going to keep a diary? This is actually, you have to be an administrator by training. Keeping a diary is not easy. So don't delay sending the form. While you keep the diary, you can send the more information afterwards if you need to. Well, that's fair enough. I mean, because there's a deadline, it's only 1 month. If you don't finish the process quickly, you are done. You have to really start the process all over again. And you also have to go to the hospital. The hospital is closing down. You have to actually pay your rent. Your rent is actually, you're being evicted. You have to buy food. You're collapsing because you don't have the money. You are sick. No peace for the wicked. So in the diary, include difficulties you have because of your health condition, disability, medical or treatment you are having for condition or disability, aids like walking stick, hearing aid, guide dog, or raid or rails in your home. Don't feel embarrassed about what you do or don't do. It's fine if you can't do something or if you need help, but it's important to tell the Department of Work and Pension. You need to know what the Department of Work and Pension need to know what you can manage without anyone else. Like you are being interrogated. It's like all these things. If you can do these things, you are not sick. If you can really do it. So the whole thing is just to kind of like, like we don't believe you. You said you're sick. If you are sick enough, you can fill out the form. Well, if you are really sick, you can't fill out the form. Now, how about if people are sick, they can't fill out the form. If they are not sick, they cannot fill out the form because it's so complicated. And the professional cannot fill out the form because they don't have the time. They don't have the money. They are short of staff because the government doesn't fund them. So it's like a form of merry-go-round. So how to fill out? If you can start filling out the form when you get the form, it's important to get the Department of Work and Pension all the information they need to make the right decision. Find out what the form asks about and what to include. If you have a PhD in policy or anything like that, then you can fill out these forms because the questions are so ridiculously confusing. So you fill you see 50 form, the first section of the form. On the first section of the form, you check when to return the form. Check what the Department of Work and Pension need to know. Fill in the first section of the form. Answer the next question. Sure, these are actually things you need to do. You need to be really super organized with it. Is that you are actually set up to fail. So if you can't work because you are disabled, you have an health condition, Department of Work and Pension and DWP usually send you a form to check if your universal credit should change. The form is called the Work Capability Questionnaire or UC50. The form is your chance to tell the Department of Work and Pension how your condition of disability affects your ability to work. There are questions about what you can do physically or what your mental health is. So you can also check when to return the form. I've already said it has to be within 1 month. And if you are happy, you can send it. If you are sad, you can send it as well. Because one way or the other, you don't get the money, you are actually in trouble because the standard allowance of universal credit is so little that sick people cannot even do anything. Because see, the government is saying, okay, we are trying to encourage people to get back to work by actually starving them. They are being, I don't want to use the word terrorism, but it's like people are being terrorized into work because the government doesn't have the money to help people who, even if you go to work, there's nowhere to run. You go to work, you're going to get employers, 0 hour contract, weakened employment rights. Like, they can fire you whenever they like. You work for 2 years without any rights to a fair dismissal. An employer can extend your probation period as much as they like. 3 months, 6 months, you're not sure. Sometimes you are actually a worker. That means you are not an employee. I don't even know what it means. This is employment law. And it's so complicated that you have to go to fall sick in order to have a dream, to understand the complexity of employment law. And the same with housing, the same with health care. These things are so complicated and you are actually without any help. So you need to send the form back within 4 weeks after you got it. Otherwise, the Department of Work and Pension might decide you can work. Check the letter that came with the form for the exact date. I've already mentioned that, but I'm just repeating them. If you have a cancer, you need to ask your doctor or someone else who is treating you to fill in the last page of the form. I've never seen a doctor who actually have time to fill out the form. And I've never thought it's reasonable to ask a medical doctor to fill out a form for benefit. So this is when you have a cancer. You will need to ask your doctor or someone else who is treating you to fill in the last page of the form if you are lucky enough to see them, because they are supposed to treat people who are actually sick. They're not supposed to help you to claim benefit. Sick people do not need benefit. They need doctors and medical care. And so the government has an excuse because it has failed to pay money to the British people in benefit and also in employment. People are suffering poverty in benefit. They are also suffering poverty in work. And whether you work, whether you don't work, you are going to be poor more and more going forward as people will begin to lose their jobs. Technology is taking over retail sector, hospitality, banking, accountancy, computer engineer. All these things, even drivers are going to lose their job. Bus drivers, buses will go autonomous in the next 50 to 100 years. This generation will begin to see the stress of change, and the government is missing. And that is the whole point, because you see, the function of the government is actually to manage change so that there is no violence, there's no chaos, there is no negligence. So you can check the letter which came, letter that came with the form for the exact date. If you have cancer, etc., etc., if it is more than 4 weeks since you got the form, you should still fill it in and send it as soon as you can. The Department of Work and Pension might accept it. If there is a good reason, you shouldn't. You couldn't send it earlier. The only God in heaven will know what it means to have a good reason for sending anything late or even not sending it at all. And that is actually a calamity to do with conditions in relation to benefit. And leave a comment below if you think this actually makes sense. Leave a comment below if it doesn't make sense. What I'm intending to do is actually to show you how tedious life can be, life in benefit, in employment. I'm talking about income. That's why I'm talking about benefit, and this relates to the cost of living crisis. And the Department of Work and Pension will use the form to decide whether you have to work or look for work. I don't have to work, but I have to do things to prepare for work, called limited capability for work. don't have to work or prepare for work, called limited capability for work-related activity. I already mentioned this. This information are repeatable, and God bless them. God bless my viewers. And it is important to tell the Department of Work and Pension about all the difficulties you have, so you can have the right decision. Take your time answering each question, and our breaks when you need to. This will help you give the Department of Work and Pension only the information they need. Don't feel embarrassed about your answers. It's fine if you can't do something, or if you need help. But it's important to tell the Department of Work and Pension they need to know what you can manage without anyone else's help, and there are things you can do beforehand to help you give the Department of Work and Pension information they need. For example, keeping a diary and getting the other evidence you need. Check out, get ready to fill the form, and etc. etc. This is actually information which is repeatable. Thank you so much for watching this information. I will continue to talk about this thing. The main reason I'm talking about things to see what is happening with the government departments, what is happening with money is happening with healthcare, schools,